Last weekend was pretty special for India at Silverstone because we had one of our own, Jehan testing a Formula One car. And let me tell you, the reason why he tested the car is that he could become India's third driver in Formula One. How close is he to that? And how are the events going to unfold over the next maybe 6 months or 8 months? Let's understand from Jehan. Thank you very much for joining us on this chat, Jehan. I know you are in London right now, have just tested the car. You're excited. We are excited for you. Tell us about the moment you learned that you are going to be testing with McLaren.
Yeah, it was a great moment for me, my family, and of course, representing India. It felt great. You know, it was the next logical step in my career. I want to be a Formula One driver, and having a good season currently in Formula Two. Doing the Formula One test with McLaren at Silverstone was the next logical step to take. So yeah, it was great pride. I've been working hard for the last 12 years, and yeah, I it felt great rolling out of the pit lane for the first time in a Formula One car. And yeah, those 2 days went really smoothly. We had a good testing for 2 days. I really enjoyed myself, and it went really, really well.
Jehan, I'll have to ask you, how was it sitting in the hot seat? Because this is for the first time. Formula 2, you have been racing in for a while, but graduating into a, completely different form. How was it really?
It was really, really cool. Obviously, there's a lot more people also in Formula One. There was only one car and there was like 30 people there just to run the car. Obviously, naturally, I was a little bit nervous, but when I sat in the car, I felt like I belonged there and I didn't feel out of place at all. So, it felt comfortable. As soon as I rolled out of the pit lane, I felt the car quite quickly, and I started to just push quite early on, like every racing driver does. And yeah, I got really comfortable.
It is a mental switch and a physical switch as well, moving from Formula 2 to Formula 1. Tell us, how much of your physical ability is required actually to be inside the Formula 1 car, and a little bit about your fitness regime.
Yeah, the step up from Formula 2 to Formula 1 is big, but it's also, different aspects of fitness. In Formula 2, in our cars, we don't have a power steering, so the steering wheel gets really, really heavy. So we have to do a lot of gym work, make sure our arms, our core, our neck is also very strong. In Formula 1, it's all a lot to do with cardiovascular fitness and also mainly the neck, because there's power steering, so that helps with the steering wheel. But you go through a lot of G forces while driving. At Silverstone, for example, we had a 5.5 G's of braking, and close to 5.5, 6 G's of lateral G constantly throughout a lap. And I did 130 laps over 2 days of testing. So yeah, it was definitely physically a lot of work. I started to feel it at the end of day two, but I physically felt really good throughout the test, which was good for me to know, because the team that I work with, we always train to try to be fit for the next level, which is Formula One, and that makes Formula Two easier for me, and it also prepares me for Formula One. So this season, in terms of training, normally we have more time. This year, it's really, really busy with 14 races. Like in July, I have 4 races in a month. So I'm pretty much racing, every weekend. But we try to follow a routine of 3 days on and 1 day off, just to, help the body rest and recover and keep going. So there's a mix of fitness, but right now it's mainly dominated with neck and strength.
Now that you have tested a Formula One car, what is the next step for you really to become, a reserve driver or be in the top 20?
Yeah, seats obviously limited in Formula One. There are only 20 seats and not many opening up for next year. But I hope that I continue to have a good season in Formula Two, and we keep the doorway open for next year itself in 2023 in F1. Hopefully in a race seat, and if not in a race seat, have a reserve seat for 2023, and push towards a race seat for 2024. But a lot of it still depends on my current season in Formula Two. I still need to focus on my current season. Make sure I'm consistently scoring well. Winning races and fighting for the championship towards the end of the season.
What are the challenges? You mentioned that the seats are limited and the seats don't really open up every year. What are those things that you are focusing on to get that seat quickest, and the challenges before you?
From a personal point of view, I have a very good management around me, a very good team of people. So, my main focus is really to focus on myself and my racing. And, I let my management really deal with the in and outs of trying to get me a race seat in Formula One. Obviously, I'm also pushing them, to try to see if we can get one for next year. But it is difficult. There are a lot of young drivers trying to get a seat in Formula One, and not many open. So, 2024, that do look like there are more seats opening up, but we're still going to push as much as we can for next year.
Jehan, how is it like, toggling between Formula One and Formula Two? Is it like an easy switch that you make, or is it difficult once you've, driven a higher grade of cars and then back to Formula Two? How is it like?
Yeah, to be honest, it's going to be my first experience next week in Silverstone, because it's the first time I drove a Formula One car, and it's the first time I'll be like making that switch back into Formula Two. Again, my race is at Silverstone, so it's a direct comparison of Formula One to Formula Two. But people who have done it in the past have succeeded. It definitely doesn't hamper you. So if anything, you can learn some stuff that you did at the test in Formula One and apply it in Formula Two as well. So. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it and really feeling, the difference jumping back into a Formula 2 car at Silverstone.
Getting a reserve seat in a Formula One team itself is a big, big feat. And you've said that even if there is a 5% chance you are going to go for it, push for it, are there any fears?
No, my goal is Formula One, and I will, be pushing as much as I can for it. So, if it is the case where I have to have a reserve role for a year and have a race seat for the year after, it's definitely something I would 100% do. But yeah, all hope is not lost for next year. I'm still hoping, this season works out well. And yeah, there is a small chance for next year, but there's still a chance. But, the main thing is to deliver a good season. And like you said, even having a reserve role is a big deal. And, that puts you in the doorway to have a race seat for the year after.
Jehan, 2022, when we look back at the year, while the year is still rolling, it's been completely different in terms of race wins. There have been a lot of young drivers on the circuit performing very well, like Verstappen, like Leclerc, like George Russell. Their performances, how much do they encourage you?
I think, yeah, they do encourage us a lot. All these guys have also come from Formula 2. They've been doing what we have been doing in Formula 2, and they're really adapted well to Formula 1. So it not only gives us confidence, but it gives, I think, confidence to Formula 1 teams that, young drivers are very capable and they are ready for Formula 1. So, it works both ways. I think it gives me confidence as a driver that, I can do it myself. And it also definitely gives the teams the confidence that, these guys in Formula 2, they are capable of delivering good results in Formula 1 for sure.
Last year, we know Mick Schumacher did it. You were, in fact, racing with Mick Schumacher, Sonoda, and Zhu did it this year. Their, graduation to Formula One. How does, that play out for you in terms of confidence, and what are really the lessons that you've taken from them, if at all?
Yeah, I think it's just, a confidence, booster that all these guys, are racing high level teammates in Formula One. Obviously, Yuki this year stepped up. He's been really fast. Zhu in the last few races has also been stepped up and doing well. Mick is also doing well. So, it just gives me confidence that I was racing these guys in Formula 2, wheel to wheel for a lot of time. And, that I'm also capable of doing it. So it's just a matter of, finishing off this Formula 2 season well and, hopefully having that opportunity to prove myself in Formula 1.
So right now you're at number 3, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And how many more races for you to finish this season? And if you finish on top, what happens as a result of, finishing higher than this?
There's still 8 rounds to go. We've completed 6. Yeah, the goal is to win. I'll be pushing for that. But yeah, winning in Formula Two also doesn't guarantee you a seat in Formula One, but definitely say makes it easier. So that will be my goal. To push for the championship, to fight for the title, and that itself, gives me a lot of confidence, and also, proves that I'm worthy to go to Formula One.
Jehan, you won the 1 in a billion competition, and there has been no looking back after that. Tell us a little bit about your journey so far in Formula One.
Yeah, it's been definitely a long journey. It started around 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago now. So I started karting locally in India with Rayoman Banerjee for Rayo Racing. Kind of did a couple of years in India, a year or so in Asia. And at that time, 2011 was the 1 in a billion hunt. And I was 13 years old, and the competition was only for people between 14 and 18. So I was not eligible to enter. And they made like a wild card entry list to allow one person below 14 and one above 18. And I did the fastest time of everyone in India below the age of 14. So I qualified by just 1/100th of a second. Literally, I beat the second guy by 1/100th of a second. And yeah, that 1/100th of a second really changed my life. Being with at that time Force India, we kind of raced in England, in Europe for a few years. They always put us with good teams, good coaches. So we were always learning, developing a lot. And yeah, until 2018, I was with them. And yeah, then I did a year in 2019 by myself in Formula 3 and had a really successful year. And that's when, Red Bull approached me, and we started working, and I joined the Red Bull junior team.
Jehan, getting to Formula One requires a lot of hard work, a dash of luck, and really the support system that gets you there, helps you to be where you want to be. You mentioned about the Red Bull Racing. What was your experience really with the Red Bull Junior Racing team and also the Mumbai Falcons?
Yeah, it's been, with Red Bull, like you said, you need a bit of luck to get into Formula One, but being part of a Formula One team definitely is the best doorway you can have to get in. Sometimes just getting good results aren't enough to go to Formula One. There's a lot of things that go around behind the scenes. So, to be part of a junior team is a big boost. You're kind of, in the door for Formula One team, and just getting good results is a big help to go towards Formula One. So it's been great working with Red Bull the last few years. They prepare us really well for the races. They gave us really good knowledge about not only driving but about the engineering side of the sport. So it gives us an idea and the picture of how everything works, just not the driving part of it. So yeah, it's been really, really great. Hopefully I can next year or the year after graduate from AlphaTauri into Red Bull. But we just have to see. And in terms of Mumbai Falcons, they're doing great things for the sport in India. They are obviously launching the F4 and F3 campaign, and hopefully there's a lot more young Indians coming up, and with the help of Mumbai Falcons, they can make it all the way to Formula One. And they have been supporting me this year in F2, and hopefully if everything goes well, we can have a continued support working all the way to Formula One.
And how has it been working with McLaren in the lead up to your testing, and now you've been a part of the system?
Yeah, it's also been it's been really, really good. McLaren are multiple world championship team. They're one of the teams with the greatest history in Formula One. So to drive for them in my first test was also a really big privilege for me. And they are obviously also really smart. I work with really clever engineers, great bunch of people. I'm always learning. It was a new experience for me, and they made me feel really comfortable and helped me settle into the car really quickly.
Jehan, why was it McLaren and no other team? Was there a preference that you had, or was it a call up that you got from them?
Not really. Basically, yeah, most of the teams are not running any like test program cars, so they're just focusing on the actual season. So they're not running a test program, while McLaren are. And yeah, the opportunity did come up, and never gonna say no to drive a Formula One car. Obviously, it was my first time. It meant a lot to me, and we grabbed it with both hands, and I took the opportunity, and I'm very glad.
And did you have a chance of meeting Ricciardo or Norris, exchanging notes?
Not really with Ricciardo at all, but I'm quite good friends with Lando, so we do talk quite a bit. He obviously asked me how the test went and if I need any help and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, it all went well. I get along still great with Lando. If there's any questions, I can always ask him.
We always hear stories of great rivalries among, Formula One drivers within their teams. You have been a part of the circuit for a very long time now. How do you see all these rivalries that play out? And really, some of the stories are great stories for fans like me.
Yeah, I think Formula One is a tough game because at the end of the day it is a team sport as well, and you're representing a team and you work for a team, so you have to make sure the team does well, but also to keep your job you kind of have to beat the other guy. So it's kind of like you want the team to do well, but you also want to beat your teammates, so it creates like a difficult boundary. But these days in Formula One, I think a lot of drivers do seem to get along, and they're pushing the team forward together, and I think that's the way it should be.
Jehan, let me ask, you started off as a 12, 13-year-old. What inspired you to take up this journey of, being a race car driver and onto Formula One?
I was always I always had a lot of passion for speed, and just adrenaline. I loved playing sports when I was a kid, and yeah, when I sat in the go kart for the first time, I couldn't even reach the pedals. I had to like put two pillows behind me, but yeah, it was the most fun I had ever had in anything I did, and so I wanted to start with karting. I used to watch Formula One on TV. Obviously, Formula One was a far-fetched goal at a time, but yeah, when I told my parents I wanted to start racing, uh, they kind of said, "Yeah, we'll let him do it." He'll probably realize in 1 or 2 years he's not good enough, and he'll just stop. And uh, it worked out completely different. And yeah, I'm glad they've given me all the support that they have, and it's a journey I've not only made by myself, but also with the help of my family and everyone who supported me.
And what do they say now, that the fact that you have vindicated, your plans and what you wanted to be, always wanted to be, you are on that path?
Yeah, I think for them, as long as I'm happy, they that's all that matters. So in the end, yeah, Formula One would is a dream for me. So me going there would obviously make me happy, and that simultaneously would make them happy. So I think they just letting me continue and follow my passion, and hopefully make my dreams come true.
Jehan, any race car driver who you've been a big fan of?
Yeah, when I first started watching Formula One, and until he first retired, was definitely Alonso. He was my biggest inspiration at the time, especially when he won with Renault in 2005, 2006, and then
Hmm.
also his fight in 2007 with Hamilton and his years at Ferrari. I think it was definitely Alonso.
You could, go on to become India's third Formula One driver after Nareen Karthikeyan and Karun Chandok. How do you think will it change, your presence on the circuit could change the face of the sport in India? Because even today, a lot of people think, or maybe it's true, that this sport is not for everyone. It's not a mass sport.
Yeah, I think it's known to everyone that racing is an expensive sport. It's but I've been fortunate enough to have the support all the way. I've also had the backing from Red Bull. But I think racing is also difficult. To get to Formula One nowadays, you need to have enough points on your super license or points on your license, and now I'm eligible to have the points. I have 40 points on my super license. That means I'm eligible to have a Formula One seat. So yeah, it's nowadays also less about like marketing and backing, and more on results, and if you're actually good enough to be driving in Formula One. So my main goal is to make it to Formula One on merit, and that's what I'm working towards.
Jehan, one final question. A lot of kids will be watching your interview. If you were to give them top 3 tips for the ones who want to follow a journey like yours, what would they be?
Top 3 tips. I think number 1 tip is probably to always remember to have fun. If you forget to have fun, there's a lot of pressure in sports. So sometimes we forget to have fun, and the whole reason we started racing in the first place is because we enjoyed it. So that would be number 1. Number 2, to do a lot of hard work and stay disciplined. It's easy to get carried away in any sports, but I think that would be number 2. And number 3 lesson is, I think, is to keep your mind open and to learn from the other people who are telling you, because we all have limited knowledge. And, as you go up and up to the ladder, people have been there for many years, and it's always like your first year and second year there. So they know a lot more than you do, and you have to keep your mind open and gather and take all the information.
They were really pearls of wisdom. Thank you very much, Jehan, for joining us, and all the very best on your road ahead.
Thank you.